Hey everyone, I'm Tyson Moore from Tyson Moore Builds. In this video, I'm going to show you how I made this cart for my air compressor. I don't have a cut list quite yet, but I did make this out of a single sheet of plywood and some various scraps. First, I took that plywood and I drew a line and marked it with my chalk line and cut it with my circular saw. Here I chose to use a 40-tooth blade so that cut was nice and smooth. Next up, I moved over to the table saw and began to cross-cut and rip down the plywood into more manageable pieces. This cart has to fit in a tight space, so all of my measurements and cuts are related to that. I decided to go with pocket holes to assemble everything together since that would be quick and easy. And on the bottom here, I decided to add a curve so that the whole unit would feel less like a big box. I just added a blade to my jigsaw and cut the curve. Next up, I brought over the pieces of the sides that you could see the curve cut on the bottom and simply attached them together with the pocket holes and some screws. Here you can see I'm test fitting my air compressor and adding a little shelf above it. On this shelf, I decided that I wanted to make a drawer, so here I cut out the sides for the drawer pieces, added the hinges, tested the spacing, added some more pocket holes, and made a quick drawer. This is a super simple process here at the table saw. I'm just ripping down some thin backing, attaching it with some pin nails, and now it's time to flush cut everything so that it fits together nice and smooth. I might could do a separate video for how I make my drawers, but this is a pretty easy way to do it with just some plywood pieces, pocket holes, and a couple of hinges you can pick up in the store. Here I'm adding my second shelf, and I added the drawer face front here to check the spacing. And after attaching that shelf with screws, I added a scrap piece of wood here to be my handle and attached it from behind. You can see it slides great. Now since I was making this up as I go, I used the remaining plywood just to see how much I would have left to get a top and also one extra shelf. Here I decided to attach the top with a metal hinge. I swapped out my blade in my jigsaw for a metal cutting blade and it cut through like butter. I attached it with screws and you could see that the top will hinge open like this.
If you love this type of content, be sure to subscribe to our channel and go ahead and hit that bell so that you'll be notified on all of the new videos when they're released. Also, don't forget to follow us on Instagram at ToolsToday.
Next up, it was time to turn everything over and add some casters to the bottom. I chose to use these larger casters on the back so that I'll be able to tilt it over and pull it on just two wheels. Here I'm attaching a scrap piece of pine with my countersink bit just to even the spacing with my smaller casters on the front. My thought here is that I want the unit to actually roll on all four wheels if I want to. I'm now realizing I could have used the same size casters, but my original idea just had a stop block on the front. So next up, I decided to work on creating a handle. Again, I'm just using the scrap pieces of the plywood left over and making this up as I go, cutting custom curves to make handles like this. So I know I wanted to use a large dowel for my main handle for this unit. So at the drill press, I use a Forstner bit to cut about 3/4 of the way down, so that after cutting my dowel, I could just insert it in and attach it to the back of this rolling cart. Here I'm using that countersink bit again to create the holes so that it's easy to add this to the back of the cart with just some normal screws. Now it's time to turn my attention to the side of the cart. I'm using another piece of leftover plywood, making an oval shape here, and then using a roundover bit to just kind of soften the edges. You'll see how I use this specific piece here in a second, but since my roundover bit was already attached to the router, I decided to round over the edges to the top of the cart as well. Now this oval piece is going to serve as like a stop block for all of the hose that I have on my air compressor. Being able to wrap it around like this is going to be an easy way to keep up with this length of hose. And with that, this is basically finished. I'm just going to fill my drawer with things that are related to the air compressor and use the extra space to store my air guns. Now you can see that I'm tilting it back and being able to roll it around on two wheels. That's going to be most ideal for being out on the concrete. But I do like the fact that I can lower it down level and have easy access to the drawer and the top and just all the extra storage that I have on it. It's also a great way to be able to get to the hose and wrap it up easily. And the best part about this is it's going to fit in a very specific tight spot in my shop. I don't have a lot of room, so every literal inch counts. I'm sure there's a lot of improvements that can be made to this design. If you've got any good ideas, drop them in the comments below. I hope you enjoyed this build. Thanks again for watching, and thanks to ToolsToday for sponsoring this video.
If you love this type of content, be sure to subscribe right over here. And for more great videos, click right over here.